Hello everyone. Before we begin with creating the random numbers for Toto, let's learn a bit of the tools that we will be using in our code here. And now, if you have not downloaded this file yet, please download this file 01 Toto generator from your resource tab. Toto generator, what is a list? We will be using a list for our Toto numbers. So what is a list? A list is a collection and is written with a square bracket. The items inside the list are separated with a comma. So what do I mean by this? I've created two lists. My list 1 consists of a list of numbers, and my list 2 consists a list of alphabets. Now, if I create a print statement for both of the lists here, and I click run, this is your first list and this is your second list. These are lists. So how do we access a list? We'll be using a mylist2 as the example. The index starts with 0. So what do I mean by this? Mylist2. To access the index, we'll be using a square bracket and we'll put in the index. So for the first element here is referenced with index 0. When I click run, you see A because we're accessing the first element. The second element is index 1. When we click run, we get B. The last element here is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. If we click run, we have E. Now, what do we get if we type in index 5? You have index error. List index out of range. So we cannot reference more than what the elements inside the list. Now, we have gone through that index 4 is equals to E. We can also use a -1 to reference to the element E as well. Now, -1 means that we are referencing to the list from the behind. So -1 is referring to E, and -2 refers to D, the second element from the behind. Now, how do we add elements to an existing list? Let's do a print statement for my list 2. You see that we have A, B, C, D, E. To add an element to a list, what we can do is we can do a mylist2 dot append. We're appending something to the list. F. And do a print statement to see the output. When you do a run, you see that this F is appended, is added to the list. F is added to the end of this mylist2. If we change this F to G and we run again, what you will see is that G is added to this list as well. While loop. What is a while loop? A while loop is a loop that will continuously run while the conditions is true. So for example, let's initialize I becomes 0. While I is less than 7, colon, do a print statement for I. And we will increment the I by writing this I plus equals 1. If you run this code, you see that initially I is 0. When I is 0 is less than 7, which is true, we'll do a print I, which is print 0. Next, we increment 0 with 1. 0 plus 1 is equals to 1. Now, 1 is still less than 7, we'll do a print 1. And so on and so forth until 6. While 6 is less than 7, print 6. 6 plus 1 is equal to 7. Now, 7 is not less than 7. That's why this whole code do not run. That's why we end at I is equals to 6. Random rand int. What we're doing here is we're creating a random integer. So how do we use this? First, we need to import the random library. We will be assigning a variable r to this code here, random integer between 0 and 2. If we do a print r, you see that the r value is 1. Now, to combine this random integer with this while loop, what we'll be doing is this. Let's copy this while loop here. And we will be copying this import random at the very beginning of the line. We'll be copying this r and print r to replace this print I. Make sure the indentation is correct. So what we're doing is that we'll be printing r, a random integer between 0 and 2, while the value I is less than 7. So we'll be printing this random integer for 7 times. Now if you run this code here, you see that for the first I, we get the value r as 1. When I is 1, we get r is 1 as well. And all the way until I is 6, the value r is 2. As you can see here, rand integer between 0 and 2, we'll see that we have 0, 1, and 2. Therefore, these two numbers are inclusive inside this random integer. Now that we have some basics of what we'll be using later on, a list, while loop, and a random integer, let's go to our codes here to do our coding. Now, inside this import here, we'll do an import random because we will be using this library. Inside the initialization, after these two print and input statement for the welcome page, we will be doing our Toto generator. It is always a good practice to write comments for your codes so that it's easier for you to understand your codes. Now, to begin with, let's create Toto. We'll create Toto as a list. To initialize a list, we'll write it as Toto equals to empty bracket. So this denotes an empty list. We'll create our counter I is equals to 0 as well. Now, going back to what we've learned just now, while I is less than 7. Why 7? Because we have 6 winning numbers and 1 additional number. So we will need 7 numbers. While I is less than 7, x is equals to rand integer between 1 and 49. If you recall our gameplay, we know that Toto number ranges from 1 to 49. That's why we put this inside this range here for the random integer. If x in Toto will do a pass, what it means is that we will be creating a few numbers here inside this Toto. We are randomly picking an integer. If we pick the same number again, which is found inside this Toto list, we'll do a pass. Now, If there is no pass, we will append it. Now, if there is no number found in the existing list, we will append the number, the random number found here, and we increment the I with 1. So let's see what we have here. Let's do a print statement. When we run this code, run, press enter to begin. You press enter. This is your numbers. 6, 23, 37, 34, 12, and 28. If we run this code again, press enter to begin, you see a different set of numbers here. 7, 43, 31, 28, 8, 46, 42. 6 numbers here. 6 numbers here are the winning numbers. And this number here refers to the additional number. That's all for this video. In the next video, you'll be asking the player how many sets of bets does he want to buy? How many ordinary bets? How many system 7? How many system 8 does he want to buy? I'll see you in the next video.